Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Pigskin Project YouTube channel. I am Matt. I am joined by Ben, and today starts the new day of the what is it? The channel? This is when we get into scouting. All right.
It's scouting time.
This is the scouting time. We did it last year. We did all the positions last year, so this year plan to do the same. Doing it a little bit different, not doing it on live. But before we get into the position everybody wants to talk about in quarterbacks, Ben, how are you?
No, I'm doing great. Like as you know, for our avid watchers, obviously we didn't do a show last week because it really allowed us to kind of sink our teeth into some of the film and some of these different position groups and everything. Um, but again, I mean, I've told the story 10,000 different times now at this point in the podcast, but scouting is my favorite, but it always holds a special place even the heart of this podcast because shoot, without it, I don't know if we'd if we would ever became friends in the first place.
This is the truth. This is the truth. Um, so this will be coming out Friday, the 27th. So quarterbacks will throw tomorrow at the combine. So keep that in mind. Any measurements, if you're seeing this later, any quarterbacks throwing in shorts, we do not know this knowledge as of right now. Um, But and then another disclaimer: if Ben goes and freezes a little bit here every once in a while, don't be alarmed. But uh, let's get right into it. So I had 7 draftable grades, Ben, on the quarterback class this year. Um, that's as low as it's ever been for me. So that
Yes,
again, that just puts into perspective what we're looking at this year. How many did you have?
yes, I had 7 draftable grades. Um, Caveat here: we both didn't watch Cole Payton. I
Yeah.
would imagine Cole Payton would have gotten a draftable grade for the both of us. I don't want to say for sure because again, we haven't watched him. But I'm right. I'm right up there with you. It's 7 draftable grades. There's a quarterback I scouted, didn't like. We're definitely on the same page about that one. Um, but really, outside of the top 3 quarterbacks in this class, I wouldn't knock anyone for how they rank it after. Like it seems like there's a firm like top 2 and then there's like a third guy that's like kind of there in my opinion and then everyone and then everywhere else. I know there's a fourth guy for you. I'm not quite there yet, but it's truly just like you're throwing darts at a board and hoping something is going to stick. This quarterback class definitely lacks the top end talent and the depth. And it's not the best draft class if you need a quarterback.
Yeah, that's why today, as of Wednesday, recording this, Andy Dalton's getting trade buzz. So,
Derek Carr coming out of retirement.
Derek Carr's coming out of retirement, folks. So, yeah, these these boomers are seeing an opportunity to play again. But I
No.
had I watched a total of 10 guys. There's still multiple guys I want to watch, like Kelly McManus at Rutgers. I do want to
Yes.
watch. Um, the UConn kid Fagnano, I want to watch. Cole Payton, obviously on that list. I watched one game of Diego Pavia and realized this is what am I doing? I don't
Exactly.
think I need to keep doing this. But the 2 guys that missed the cut for me were Sawyer Robertson and Luke Altmaier. Both of
Mm.
them will live in my lore of college football, fandom. I really thought I was going to like Robertson. I really liked him as a college quarterback and everything in his lower half decision making. The arm talent wasn't what I thought it was. And yeah, he was someone who didn't make the cut. And then Luke Altmaier, same thing. It kind just small. He's a gutsy winner. I feel like the toughness, the intangibles are going to be the things that everybody kind of speaks into existence with him. But
Yeah.
kind of become a sizist at this position over the course of the years. So he was someone
Yeah.
that I was much lower on.
Yeah. Well, of the guys that didn't get a draftable grade for me, it was one Cade Klubnik. I hated pretty much everything that I had seen on tape for him. Again, we had kind of talked about it before we hit the record button. There's not really much that this kid does that impresses me. His 24 tape was definitely better than his 25 tape. I mean, you have to take that into, account, but like the only two things that like I can like really pat him on his back for is like, okay, you work through your progressions like kind of fast, but it's a half read situation. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. And then like you're quick, you're fast, but he's small. He gets antsy and thrown off his game very, very quickly. I hate everything within his lower body. He is like shot putting the ball. He has no movement in his lower body, which makes his like deep ball just like kind of bad. Like I just don't think he has an arm that will really translate, and I really don't think he throws with anticipation. So I'm not I don't have a draftable grade on him. I wonder if he made your list. My last guy that made my list and he barely snuck in was actually Sawyer. He was a treat. I loved watching him actually, and maybe it is the college football tandem or like fandom in me, but I really liked the like what he can offer as like a physical specimen at the quarterback position. And I mean, I can get into it now if you want, but it is up to you.
Yeah, dig in.
Yeah. So again, Sawyer will be number 7 for me. He's the last quarterback with that draftable grade for me. Played this most recent year at Baylor. Again, absolutely loved him. I think he's a plus athlete, which isn't something that we kind of saw that like he could move a little bit before Baylor when he came to Baylor. That's when he was really put in a system that really allowed him to utilize his legs. I don't necessarily agree with you in terms of his arm. I saw flashes of an arm. I saw flashes of him being able to actually layer throws. So not only I don't think he has an amazing arm. I think he has an NFL adequate arm, but I think he knows how to use it. Again, he does a good job layering it, getting it over the linebacker, but underneath the safety. I think he reads zone defenses very well. There's a caveat there, especially with the zone defenses. And I think he uses again that athleticism very, very well to navigate the pocket for the most part. The issue with him is the mental aspect of the game. I think he's just very slow. He's a slow processor. He holds on to the ball like a lot, especially in man coverage. And there were far too many times on tape where like a guy was open and it took him like a half second or a second to like recognize in his head, register that he was open and get the ball out. And by the time he did that, the defender was able to kind of make up the ground there. And then he was very, very reliant on his first read. He really loved to like stare down his first read and just like look at him throughout the entirety of the route and just stare him down as he breaks. So he's definitely a projection, and if you're drafting him, it's because you like what he offers physically, and you can hope you can teach him the mental side of the game, speed up that process, or as I said, teach him how to read man defenses. Again, I think it's there for zone. I don't know what it is about the man that makes him kind of struggle there a little bit. But just in terms of like a physical specimen, I think he has it. I think the talent is there. He just needs to go to the right place that can teach him the game and kind of speed everything up for him mentally.
Yeah, for me it was always just it was 2 years of just very just erratic play. I think
Yeah.
he was just an always erratic decision maker that I just wasn't confident in, figuring it out. I thought the accuracy at times, Michael Trigg, we're going to talk about with the tight ends later. Like
Yes, we will.
he plucks some things, man. And so overall, it's just missed. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
it's I'm willing to be lower on this player and say it probably doesn't figure this out. But I'll get into my QB7 because you said he was undraftable for you. I did have Cade. I did sneak Cade into here. We're
Okay.
both going to be uber lower on Cade compared to consensus, I think, here. Having, me just making it a cut and you having to miss the cut for, draftable grades. But I thought just overall, within 10 yards, man, Cade Klubnik is a good quarterback, right? Like, I think that was the biggest
Yeah.
thing that I took away from him. But he's a good enough athlete when he breaks the pocket. The production was down as a runner, but again, like, everybody was down at Clemson. It
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 was
just
bad.
is what it is, right? It is what it is. I don't think he got into athlete mode enough. Um, and then the last thing I had is he has enough of an arm to have an opportunity at the next level. Like I think similar arm to Sawyer, where it's enough, it's adequate. The word you said, I'll use that too. The cons just doesn't process the full field. Plenty of half read concepts in this offense. It's very similar to the Dart thing last year, why I'm going to be lower on these players. I'm lower on these gimmicky quarterback offenses. Just nature of it all, where it goes from you're literally doubling what this player now has to do at the next level. So it's going to get A, harder, and B, you're putting 2 times the amount on their plate. When it gets bad under pressure, he constantly will make it worse. That was a pretty notable trait of his. Talking about the frame, he's a thin and wiry player. Like he's not like tiny in terms of height, but he is in terms of weight. And so that makes me it's similar to the JJ conversation a few years ago where
Scares
it's like
me.
can this body really hold up? And you'd think about JJ where it's like he's played 10 games out of a possible 2 seasons. So there's already that. And then the lower half mechanics they get sped up and lost at times when he's trying to figure out what's next. Where do I go after the first read? But that's Cade Klubnik. I don't have to spend too much time on my QB7. QB6, I had the same exact grade as as Cade, but it was literally just preference. I had Taylen Green, and this is where I was just cackling to myself. It's like, this is the player. This is it. Because I can go through his cons and say he doesn't process the full field with any pace, like with any actual pacing of a real deal NFL offense. The accuracy outside of contain. When he breaks contain, it just always felt erratic. He moves backwards from the pocket way too much. Again, that's also, we'll get into his pros. Those kind of coincide together. And then he has a long winding motion. So again, like one of those that also really factors in. But he's 6'6" and he's 230, Ben. And he just moves like a gazelle. And I'm just interested. I'm fascinated by it. He flashes some lower half mechanics where it looks tied with the upper body. Again, I'm calling it flashes because I saw it a few times where it's there. And then the biggest thing for me, why he is not undraftable and why he is my QB6 and why he wins the tiebreaker against Cade Klubnik, when he's thrown over the middle of the field, both intermediate and deep, there was some real juice there. There was some real pop in him making throws over that part of the field. And that alone made me very interested with how the NFL has kind of coincided with attacking these 2 high coverages and attacking these 2 high shells, mixed with his athleticism, mixed with his frame. I just couldn't leave him off the list, even if I think it is kind of, like maybe this guy's a tight end in 3 years. But I was interested in a draft that I kept comparing him to last year, where it's, last year I had 2 guys sneak in with the same late 3, 6th round to UDFA grade, Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel. And those guys can play quarterback at a fine, adequate level. Taylen Green maybe can't play quarterback at a fine, adequate level, but he has the overall
upside swing
that I just give me the dibs. Give me the dibs at pick 200. And so that's why I had him at QB6.
He's actually my QB5. And that is more so speaking to the QB class than it is him as a prospect.
Yeah.
Right. And again, we'll get into it. He'll do QB5 for me. I basically have everything that you had said. I had joked with you because we're also, a little, inside of the kitchen here.
Mhm.
We're also doing our tight end thing, our tight end ranking as well today. I was joking with you, a couple days ago. I'm like, I don't know which ranking I want to put Taylen Green into. Do I put him in the quarterback or the tight end one? Because again, there is so much struggle there with him being kind of a late processor and just struggling immensely with accuracy at all three phases, short, intermediate, and deep. It's just not there. He lacks the touch. He is trying to always consistently make the big play. Like he will not take a check down. And given it's it's a bit different than it is in a real game, but like it even showed in the Senior Bowl. I think it was like Ted Hurst that Taylen Green is rolling out and he had his running back in the flat. And you could just like go and just dump it off to your running back in the flat, pick up 3 or 4 yards and call it a day. But he keeps running and running and running and running. And he sees Ted Hurst down the field. It's like, let me throw it up to him. And almost has Ted Hurst killed. Like he's just always trying to make the big play. And, I think you have to kind of teach that and maybe take that out of quarterbacks. But again, as you said, he's a great athlete. Can throw on the run. I don't know if you want him to do it, but he can do it. Again, good arm and can create out of structure. You're taking him for the upside.
Yeah.
You're taking him because he has the physical traits, because he does have a rocket arm, because he is a big frame, because he can run fast, and you just hope that you can develop him into something. And as we kind of both joked about, and it's kind of like a half joke, if it doesn't turn out, then you have a heck of a good of a tight end 2 on your team. So it's just an upside swing, and the fact that again he's at 5 says a lot more about this QB class than it does him. My QB 7, I was higher on him at the start of the process. As the process went on, the more I just kind of soured on him. And that's just kind of the antithesis of this guy's college career. QB6 is Carson Beck. I think he does a really, really good job of standing tall in the pocket and kind of manipulating the pocket a little bit. I think he's a good short level accurate thrower. Emphasis on short level accurate thrower. And I think there are flashes of him like actually showing with anticipation. And as the season progressed, specifically this year, he showed flashes while at Georgia, but we kind of saw it down the stretch, especially in the semifinals game there. He is growing as an athlete. He's not like this top end athlete. He's not amazing at it, but he's learned how to functionally use it. That being said, he does not have a good arm. Like it's not even like one of those. It's like, oh, it's an adequate arm. I don't even think it's like adequate. Like you probably don't want him throwing the ball more than like 30 yards down the field.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. He greatly anything past like the linebacker level, he struggles to see. He like consistently on tape, he like struggled to see rotating safeties, which led into either turnovers or almost turnovers. And for a guy that doesn't have the arm and the ability to read a defense, he is overly confident. And it's like bad. Like there were far too many times on tape that he's like, there's a tight window there. Like I can make that throw. Like let me throw it there between the two linebackers that are converging on my tight end here. And he couldn't because he doesn't have the arm talent for that.
Yeah.
And it didn't register in his brain, and it led to some, again, turnover worthy plays. Um, this is I'm sure at this point you kind of figured out where it was. I had joked with Matt this morning. I'd read him kind of a snippet of my summary, and I had asked him, "Who am I talking about?" Um, I said Carson Beck is a floor level quarterback who is a taller, more overly confident Dylan Gabriel. You're not drafting Carson Beck because you ever think he's going to develop into a franchise starting quarterback. He might be able to step in for a game. He might be
Mm-hmm.
late stage Joe Flacco. That's kind of like the way I view him. It's kind of how I comp him is a late career Joe Flacco. Maybe Davis Mills, but that's even pushing it there a little bit. Um, you're taking him because you think he could be an adequate backup quarterback. Again, you're taking because he has a decent floor, and that is it. And yeah, he's QB6 for me.
Item QB5. So,
Yep.
I mean,
So we just
five
flipped Green
difference.
and Beck.
We flipped Green and Beck. I have Beck firmly higher than Green, though. So I want that to be
Mm.
on the record. Similar to what you said. I put when when the pocket's clean, in between the ears, I think it is smooth sailing. I think he works through progressions pretty well with pace and rhythm. He can determine where to go with the ball when he's blitzed. That's an underrated quality I think guys coming into the league don't really have. With how much football he's played, uh, that is a feather in his cap. And then he throws into zone windows with determination for me, and that could
Mhm.
be labeled as that overconfidence. He really delivers into those windows. Um, and again, there was a lot of Shannon Dawson like within that 15-yard limit in this offense.
Yes.
They knew what they were working with. But the biggest thing is, I mentioned it, the biggest con is the arm ever going to come back? Because the UCL injury happens in the SEC title game, and it hindered this season. It was very noticeable. The velocity, the ball died when he threw it. It didn't
Mhm.
look like that when he was at Georgia. Does it ever
No.
come back? If it ever comes back, you could convince me and tell me that there's someone out there that has him QB3. If it doesn't come back, I don't know if he ever plays a snap. Like it's that simple because to not understate the arm talent that he was working with this year, I haven't seen a quarterback since 20 Drew Brees be able to operate with this ability to just flutter the ball beyond 20 yards like he was able to. Like it was literally he was working with nothing to me. And it is what it is, and the thing about him and compared to Drew Brees is under pressure, his decision making gets a little haywire. It's the way I described it. He'll
Yes.
throw plenty of mistake balls rather than, living for another down, as you like to say in the NFL. And he'll lock onto targets pretty consistently, and it'll get him into some trouble trying to create downfield. But my biggest thing with Beck, I just couldn't get over is the arm talent. I just going through multiple years with him and multiple games, it's like it wasn't this bad. Like
No.
there clearly is something up with the elbow, and it's all about somebody's kind of patience, I guess is the word. Maybe, or
Sure.
confidence is maybe the word in the draft, where it's like this guy's arm is going to come back, and we're going to have a good solid backup, and he's going to live out this rookie contract, and maybe he starts a few games here and there, and maybe he gets in there and he plays well. But overall, like you said, this is a firm day 3 guy for me. There's nobody drafting him to be a franchise guy, but that's QB5 for me. So we have all three, all three QBs
I'd
5,
imagine our
6, and
rankings the
7.
rest of the way is probably the same, by the way.
Yeah, probably chalk throughout here. Um,
Yeah.
Number 4, I had Allar. Uh,
Yeah.
firm day 3 grade as well. His range isn't as wide as Beck because I think there's more. What you see is what you get, even if he is coming off a major,
Yeah.
leg injury, which today it was reported he's going to throw at the combine. So
Mm.
hey, that's fun. maybe this guy looks good in shorts. Who knows? But the pros, it's the frame combined with the arm talent, similar to Green without that, mobility in the lower half. It's the arm with its 6'5", 230 frame that you just can't quit, or I can't quit, frankly. Um,
Yeah.
he has plenty of wins early in the down with his arm talent to me, where he's just able to spray it out there and throw it upfield, getting a jump on the defense plenty of times. He can throw into some determined windows on the first read, and then he flashed the ability to layer downfield when the base is set. Put that in emphasis. Like when he has his
Yes.
mechanics down, when he's got his lower half all planted to the ground, he's got some layering ability in there that I was, again, I like. The cons, the mechanics are a nightmare. I mean,
Awful.
when pressure presents itself, just look away, everybody. Doesn't display. This was another thing. This was a thing that I really didn't like. Doesn't have that consistent poise, that toughness to brace
No,
for hits in the pocket. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say I described it as drifty in the pocket. Is kind of like the best way that I could put it, and like that's like the exact verbiage that I put. It's not pleasant to watch at times.
Yeah, I agree. It was something that, like, I step in and deliver. That those are the
Mhm.
things that you got to show as a younger quarterback going into the league that you're able to do. And I think it would get you in good graces with a lot of people. And he just didn't do it. Just didn't do
Yeah.
it. Scared to get hit, scared to compete, maybe. And then three more. He's not a creative pocket manager. Again,
Nope.
it's not his game, but there is no creativity when it breaks down. It just kind of let me get this off my back foot. Maybe it goes out of bounds. He's inconsistent when processing the full length of the field. That
Yes.
I don't want to make too many excuses for the player, but the Colton Nicky offense, I just don't think they meshed well. I don't think
No.
the Colton Nicky offense needed more receiver talent than it was given, and
Yes.
then it was just too late when they get into that UCLA game, and it just falls underwater.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, he's coming off the major leg injury. Who knows what that looks like? Who knows how this whole process goes with him? But he's throwing in March, so again, I don't think that is a major injury that's impossible to check the medicals on, but it was something of note. What did
Yeah.
you have with Drew Allar?
No, I mean, I basically have a lot of the same stuff that you have. I mean, in terms of a couple notes. In terms of processing, the best way I kind of put it is just developing IQ. I don't want to outright say the kid doesn't have it, but it's a work in progress. And it's like one of these median things. Like currently, it is a weakness, but I'm not at a point where I'm like he doesn't have it. I think he can get there. At this point in time, he doesn't have it, but I'm not like scared off and convinced that like no, he's never going to figure it out. The other thing too, and I'd like to get your opinion on it, and maybe I am viewing it a little too deeply and overly critical. Um, on his deep ball, for me, there seemed to be times on tape that he put too much. I guess I'm trying to find a good way to describe this. Too much arm into getting air underneath the ball rather than distance. And there
The
were
Russ Moon
times where,
ball?
like, because I mean, this kid, yeah, he can freak it out. It is a moon ball. He gets it up there, which is like fun to see. But it seems like sometimes it's like if you can get it like a degree lower or 2 degrees lower, maybe your wide receiver wouldn't have had to slow down enough that he could have continued to run with it. And again, it's not that I don't think he has the arm. It's just sometimes I think he put too much air underneath it. to get to a point where like his wide receiver had to slow down, maybe a half step, which maybe prevented, an extra couple yards after the catch. And then just the other one that like this is like the first thing I wrote down when watching him. And it's fun. And I just thought it was worthwhile mentioning. Oh my goodness, he will hit an MFer. Like he will look like he doesn't care. Like there are certain times on tape where like he's running and he's just like, I'm bigger than you. I have a big frame, as we've discussed.
And that's what makes the process so weird.
Exactly, right? And like it's fun to watch because he will try to run over you at certain points, but then again, as you said, like, and then he'll just kind of drift into his back foot because he's worried about getting hit, which makes Aaron throws, makes him less accurate. It's weird, but I mean it's Drew Allar, right? So we both have him at QB4. It works out.
Yeah.
As we
said. One last note before we move on to the top three. The reason why I'm putting this player at 4, and you could probably agree with me on this one, is that all of these cons feel like they are solvable at the next level. There is something that you could put the right coach in front of him, and because you can't teach Carson Beck to throw it harder if the arm is shot. You can't teach Cade Klubnik to be taller. Like it's Allar has the frame, has the arm talent, has the layering ability that I think that could play at this level. It's just everything in the lower half and kind of ducking and bracing for contact, where it's like sometimes you're gonna get hit, sometimes you gotta deliver it on time, and still a young guy. Like he's 22. Like he's turning 22 for this cycle. So again, like in a class where we're looking around, there's a lot of redshirt seniors, there's a lot of fifth-year seniors in this class. I mean, there's a guy in this class who's started 2 times less the games as him and is full year older in Simpson. So like again, there is still room to grow with Drew Allar, and that's why even with a day 3 grade with me, I think he's gonna have some fans in the NFL as well as the tape community.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Again, I think it's all fixable stuff. Again, he has all the physical attributes there. Also, Taylen Green kind of up there as well, but I digress. All right, QB3. I'll take the reins here. Hey, it works out. I'll take the reins here for him in QB1. Anyways, Garrett Nussmeier. Unless you absolutely threw a monkey wrench into all this and have Garrett Nussmeier at 2. Garrett Nussmeier's QB3 for me. I loved this kid going back to like last year. I really, really, really enjoyed his stuff. I want to preface all of this by saying watching the 25 film at points in time was rough because he had an injury that hampered him and it like showed. There was like not that he was ever. Yeah.
Think about throwing. Think about throwing a football with like this whole side of your body is telling you don't go that way. Like yes, I agree with you.
Yes, and not like that he was ever like super athletic or had like the best arm ever, but it clearly hampered him in 2025 compared to 2024. So again, a lot of this is a mix of both years more so than leaning 25. I love his deep ball. I was actually like shocked to find out that like there's like a large group of people that are like, I don't think he has the arm talent for it at the next level. And I'm like, are we watching the same guy? I think he is an excellent deep ball thrower. I think he is probably the second best in the class, and I think he's pushing for number 1 in the class for his ability to do it. I think his pocket mobility in 2024 was much better than his pocket mobility in 2025. It helps when you have a offensive tackle that is taken, with a top 5 pick in 24 compared to 25. So that definitely goes a long way. And I think he has the football IQ. I think a lot of that has a lot to do with who his dad is. His dad is I think now the offensive coordinator for the Saints, but was previously spent a lot of time as a QB coach just elsewhere, and I think it really rubs off and shows. Like, he's not scared to go up to the line and make pre-snap adjustments. He can seize rotations in the defense after the snap. There are a couple times where he gets fooled, but it happens the best with every quarterback. But I think compared to pretty much every guy that we've talked about, I love his ability to diagnose a defense pre and post snap, and he really has a very good understanding of what he is looking at. In terms of his kind of cons or his weaknesses, he doesn't like throwing over the middle. And there are points at times where he won't. It's it is a little jarring. And I don't know if that's a scheme thing or a Garrett Nussmeier thing. I think a lot of it is a Nuss thing. I think he just favors the hash throws than he does throwing over the middle next to over linebackers and whatnot. I think he's a negative athlete. He is a gunslinger, which is really, really fun to watch. But that's also kind of goes back to a little bit of the overconfidence that we talked about in Carson Beck. And I think at times it's worse. He is sometimes far too confident, which leads to some pretty bad interceptions in some pretty bad games just outright. And then I think there are times too where he struggles just layering throws, mainly between the second and third level, obviously. But just in terms of what you can offer as a deep ball thrower, his ability to hit back shoulder fades, and just his football IQ in terms of understanding what is getting thrown at him. I think makes him a fine quarterback. I think there might be a team that gives him a chance to start. We'll see. I have him a day 3 grade on him.
Yeah, I've early day 3 grade, pretty solidified 4th round grade with him. Yeah, the pros, you hit on him. I called it, in quotations, an advanced thrower, which is just the ability beyond 15 yards to have that zip, have that arm, have that ability to drop it in a bucket here and there. I had it as a pro. You mentioned that he has noticeably good arm talent. It is, it's not going to be one of the best arms in the league, but it is a notable plus when comparing his peers next to him. The thing you didn't mention, the pocket stuff. He has that toughness gene in the pocket, but he doesn't take bad sacks, if that makes sense. I think there were times where it gets skittish. Specifically, I think the Ole Miss game is just a nightmare from this year, where it's just three-man rush, and it's all right, well, I can't make anything work, because you mentioned it, it's there's nothing really in the creativity department with him. It's winning from the pocket, and when three-man rush is kind of winning as much as it did against Ole Miss, kind of just go with the flow, right? But the biggest thing with me, the cons, why I'm just day 3 solidified is, man, is he tiny. Man, is he a small guy.
He's small.
He's 6'1". He was 200, 210, right? At the Senior Bowl. Sub 9-inch hands. Yikes. That is where I get really worried when you're getting in. I know the hand size is like a joke with the LSU quarterbacks a few years ago with Burrow, and Burrow's been fine. But I do think it is something that I do kind of mental note, and I don't love. He gets a little too ambitious to me, leads to some turnover-worthy plays. both interceptions and fumbles, just trying to make things happen. Again, that was more 25, but there were some in 24 that he's just trying to make things happen. Um, overall, like his post snap recognition was good, but sometimes he got fooled with disguise stuff where it's oversetting the line, oversetting those sim pressures, and back end coverages will get him fooled here and there to me. And then last thing was his best football was in 2024, and the
Yeah.
more we get into this and the more we do the scouting, how many players have a good bit of tape and then their last year's a bad group of tape and then they become successful. You know what I'm saying? So again, like
Yeah.
that is just something to note where it's like your last impression was not your best impression, if that makes sense. So with him,
Yeah.
I again,
I mean,
I
he got benched.
do you think that?
I don't think it was like
Yeah.
obviously,
Michael Van Buren did not
being
give them a better chance to win football games, but
Yes.
I think overall the intangibles as a thrower are definitely going to intrigue people in this class, but you got to get over he's small and he doesn't really break the pocket and make things happen. Oh, that's a little worrisome. In the big 26, it's a little worrisome. So,
Yeah.
getting into number 2, obviously we're gonna have Ty Simpson together, unless somehow, some way, uh, you throw the biggest curveball of the episode. But yeah, Ty Simpson, firm day 2 grade to me. Second round pick, pretty through and through. I thought his pacing, that was what it was really impressive to me. He's only played like 15 games. The pacing of which his progressions, the rhythm of what he does, full field, I really enjoyed.
Could be good. Could be good. Showed flashes of being good is how I want to preface that. But
Before the injury, I really enjoyed what I saw. The Vandy game is just teach tape, and again, Vandy was Vandy, but that was as good as it gets. The arm accuracy combo throwing over the middle of the field, that intermediate, middle of the field, I think was a defined plus. Prior to the injury, the pocket mobility, not really resetting in the pocket, but just breaking that contain and being able to make things happen. It was a solidified strength to me. And then he has the ability to layer into NFL caliber windows. Again, shows that flash. The cons, the biggest thing was just the accuracy. If you're going to be, again, he's also a part of this. We'll lump this together. He's also one of those 6'1", 210, 215 guys. He's a small guy.
Small.
You just got to be more accurate down to me. That I would like to see that be more of a defined plus than it was, especially after the injury. I mean, the injury stuff really hampered him down the stretch, and that is a big circle in being small. Is if you're gonna play through injuries, you're gonna play in January. Like it's you're gonna be hurting, right? The happy feet, I always mention. He bounces in the pocket.
Yes.
Is that because he can't see? Is that because he doesn't want to get hit? I don't know, but I always make note of it when these things happen. When you just don't have your base underneath you, it just makes me. It infuriates me. It is really one of those things that I don't like, the bouncing in the pocket specifically. He held the ball too long, took some unnecessary sacks, and then lastly, less than 20 starts, and is going to turn 24 during his rookie season. Don't love that. I think that's a lot. That's a big gamble. And this guy is pretty solidified in the first round, right? Like, I think there's a lot of buzz that this is a first-round player through and through.
Yes, yeah. That's always the tough thing. I think he doesn't have many games under his belt. I think tends to be a cop-out thing for the most part. But when you consider he's old and doesn't have many games under his belt, that's where the concern comes in, right? Because I don't know, like if you're 21 years old and people are saying like, it's one thing if you're 21 years old and only have one season starting. Like you can convince me like, okay, it's fine. Like I don't think it's that big of a deal. He'll come into the NFL. You're going to have to develop either way. Yeah. Getting extra reps against college isn't going to do a whole lot for me. But if you're 24 years old and you only have one season starting, that's where a little bit more of the concern comes for me. Again, you've touched on a lot of the big things. The three big strengths to me was the smooth reads, the quick smooth reads. Again, he flowed very well. He really knows how to use his eyes to manipulate a defense, kind of look off defenders, get it to where it needs to go, and then is a plus athlete that can create out of structure. The big thing for me is the footwork. We've talked about it so much. You touched on it. I hate it. It makes me want to get sick when I watch it. Again, it's a bouncing, and then when he's really putting air underneath the ball, he takes like this weird half step that I'm not a big fan of.
He gallops.
And like, yeah, I don't like it, and it's quite the turnoff. And I think in deep balls, again, pocket presence stuff. And then again, he's just undersized. He's small, so we see him very, very similarly. Shocker. For me, again, it really comes down to what Ty Simpson are we getting? Like, can you shake off this injury and kind of reach a little bit of the form that you got midseason? Because he truly was a different player after that injury. Like, even in terms of reads, it felt like he was holding onto the ball like far too long than what he was compared to midseason. It truly had a big factor on him. So, if he put together a full season of what he did and what he looked like, for the majority of the middle games, I think he could convince me that he had a first rounder, but he didn't. So it's a matter of, are we kidding here? So we'll carry on our last quarterback here.
Before we get into that,
I think no one's. Yeah.
So I wanted to do this for each of these next two. Ask like big picture questions because a lot of the other guys are day 3 guys. Maybe they're backups. Maybe they stick on. But Simpson specifically, how high would you draft him? You're sitting in the place of like, you're sitting in the world of Arizona, of Miami, where it's like we don't have anybody. So you're really grasping at anything. And the Rams. The Rams are also a very like vocal team, apparently, at 13. Is there a world, Steelers at 21, is there a place where you think, for you, I'm not doing like the, maybe he goes here, maybe he goes to the Rams, but for you specifically, with what you've seen from Ty Simpson, where do you think it starts?
Where I would start feeling comfortable, like me personally as a GM, where I would start feeling comfortable would be like post 20. So 21, 22, 23. Like that point, so like kind of right where the Steelers are at. But a lot of that just has to do with the fact of like that's just right around usually where my first round grades stop. Right? Like if I only have, 21 grade first round players, I'm going to take a first round player. Right. And due to this class, again, that's right around that 20 area ish. So 20 right around where the Steelers are at. That being said, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a team that just felt so desperate for a quarterback, like even the Jets. And like the Jets are like, obviously not with number 2, but like we are going to just take him significantly higher simply because of the fact there's just not another quarterback in this draft class. So I think he's just going to go even sooner than that, just because that team is going to get antsy and is going to see that this quarterback class just flat out sucks. and is going to take him sooner. But for me, it's the early to mid 20s. But how about yourself?
I love the sweet spot of where the Browns are picking 24. So again, in a very similar vein. But if I'm Miami, like there's consideration at 11. Like if we do the
Really?
because you're thinking about they're going to have to cut Tua. There's no way any team's going to take on a guaranteed salary of $50 million to sit the bench. So you cut Tua, you're taking that dead money. It's identical to the Russell Wilson thing. And the way Denver was able to mask that is overdrafting a rookie quarterback at 12 in Bo Nix. Similar thing here. Like if they swing and miss on Willis, which seems everybody kind of pins it together because of the Packers background, that's fair. But if you're sitting at 11, even with all the needs they have, I could see a world where this new regime is like, we just think he's the guy, and it's we're not going to be drafting this high again. Maybe, maybe not. I think they're in full teardown mode. I don't think they would do it, but there's a world where you're staring at a $50 million cap, whatever the cap it is over 2 years for Tua, and it's very similar to Denver, but they're not as close as Denver. But I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about it this week of like, could Miami, like, is there a world where if I'm in Miami's position, am I that worried that I'm just not going to have anybody? And am I really just going to throw out nothing with Achane and Waddle still on these pretty modest deals? I don't know, but something to think about. But let's move on to the final.
I continue to think really quickly. I think that sweet spot would be having to get in front of the Jets at 16, right? Like if the Jets play their cards right, they could be like, we want Ty Simpson at 16. You're going to have to jump us to get him. And I think a team that gets antsy, you're going to have to jump 16 to get him. That's where I'll rest it with him. For Fernando Mendoza, that conversation becomes a lot easier. I would take Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick, which is funny because he's not even sniffing the number one overall player in terms of just simple draft grades for me. Not because I don't think he's a good quarterback, but because I think there are like 4 dudes in this class that are by far and away a different tier than him. But Fernando Mendoza is by far and away the best quarterback in this draft class. There's a lot of things that he can do very, very well. I mean, first and foremost, you have to just talk about the stature, right? Like he's going to be your pocket passing quarterback, but he does have functional athleticism. Kind of reminds me of like the Patrick Mahomes effect. Like he just gets enough. Like he's not going to burn you, but he just gets enough to get that first down every single time. So he's functionally athletic. He has a good arm. It's not a great arm, but it's an above average arm. But he has like very good size and a good frame, which has allowed him to be able to take hits. And we saw it like numerous times over the course of the season. Like think even back to like the Big Ten National Championship or the Big Ten title game where he takes that like hit. Like I think it was like literally the second play of the game. And like he gets out for a play and stands back up and finishes the game. The rest is history, obviously. But him just being that big quarterback really allows him to stand in and take those hits. But anyways, back to the arm. I think he shows he has a functionally athletic arm, which really allows him to get these like amazing back shoulder fade route throws. Like it is like some of the best that I have seen on tape. Like point period. His ability to hit that route like at a consistent clip was very, very impressive. I think he also showed the ability to layer throws at a very consistent level. We saw it numerous times over the course of this season. And then just overall, just general IQ across the board. He does a really good job of understanding, for the most part, what is being thrown at him. There are times where he struggles a little bit with the blitz, but in terms of back-end coverage, I think pre-snap and post-snap, he has a good understanding of where guys are going to be, what coverage like. Again, in terms of pocket presence and against blitz, that's where these concerns start coming into play. There were a lot of times you're just screaming at the TV or your computer while that was in season or watching tape. Or just give us the football. What are we doing? Why are we standing in there and taking that hit? You're doing too much. You just need to get rid of it. At times, he can be a slow processor. I think he showed more times where he was fine with it, but he locked on to reads one read like far too much. A lot of that showed when Surratt went down, so one of his better wide receivers, where he just locked the Mark Cooper the football. This is what we're going to do. And then some of the footwork that kind of goes hand in hand with a little bit of the pocket presence stuff too. But the lower body footwork isn't always the best. Fernando is just, he's going to be a guy that's going to be your prototypical pocket passing quarterback that, again, has the arm to get every throw down on the field, can process what's getting thrown at him at a high level, and is functionally athletic. I kind of just compare him to a Drake May. Emphasis on the light part of that. You'll see a lot of the other, like you'll see a Kirk Cousins, you'll see Jared Goff. He's in that realm. I think he has the potential to be a little bit better than those guys. But Drake May light. Again, he's a smart quarterback who can make every play on every throw on the field.
Yeah, so my comp I feel like is going to be mean. Like it's going to sound mean, but like he's just more accurate Daniel Jones. I think there's a lot of qualities in there with the frame, with the functional athleticism. I think we're getting to the same place with a Drake May Light and a good, like a good, accurate Daniel Jones here. But yeah, not much to add. I mean, the toughness in the pocket, man. I think that's where you really you sense the player that you're gonna get, and you know what you're gonna get. I think the biggest thing with me is I said it to you, a few months ago, where it's this guy is going to be he's going to be better at 28 than he is at 23. Like you just got to be patient.
Yes.
The patience with this player, I think, is the biggest thing to me. He throws wide receivers open from defenders plenty of times while working through the full field progression stuff. You mentioned the layering. He's accurate at all levels of the field. He just throws such a good ball. And then lastly, he's enough of an athlete in the arm and movement department. The cons it's the pocket presence, and this was where the Daniel Jones, they had like identical pressure to sack stuff in college. And quick and easy pressure really did get him. It really tricked him. And he would try and make things happen and just overall couldn't get away from some of these rushers. He struggled against some pressure looks. When those looks kind of got him, he didn't full field read it out. The mechanics under pressure slipped to me. I think his motion is weird. Again, similar to Green, where it's just long and winding. I want to see if we can, kind of tighten that out. And then he's not an explosive player in open field, even if that fourth down tells you he's got something. I think that's just protection lore for the national championship game. But no, my biggest thing with him is can you convince yourself on him being the number 1 overall pick quarterback? And I think he can. Even in a down quarterback class, I see it with him. Even if you go backwards and you start looking at some quarterback, like again, this is what we do. He has no peers in this class, so you got to compare him to the past. And I don't think he has, the defining trait like Ward did, with Ward's arm and precision. I don't think Caleb, May, and Daniels were all in this own little realm at the top 3 that I don't think anybody's really mentioning Mendoza in that one. But I do see a lot of like, I would have graded him similar to where I had Richardson and Stroud in 23. So I think this is a player worthy of the first overall pick, and that was kind of my question And you kind of answered it right away. Like that was, is this guy worthy of the first overall pick that the Raiders, no doubt about it. They're already no doubt about it, but asking you, someone who scouted him, are you no doubt about it? I believe in this player over the course of time.
Yes. Yes, over the course of time, I absolutely, I think you're going to get a very solid quarterback. I don't know if he will ever reach the top echelon of like the quarterback position, but I think he's just going to be a good, solid guy that's going to play in the NFL for 12 years. You're not going to have to worry about him, and you're going to be A-okay with him. Again, he's he's at the next tier down in terms of draft grade for me, outside of the top four guys in Love, Arvell Reese, Sony Styles, and Caleb Downs. Those guys are without a doubt kind of their own little tier for me. I don't know if it's the same for you, but again, all that being said, now I'm kind of just rambling. He's fine. I would take him confidently and comfortably with the first overall pick. The one thing we didn't mention, and I wanted to ask about this, strictly as a fan watching football, the post-game stuff was a lot of fun to watch. But are you at all concerned how that's going to translate to an NFL locker room?
To me,
No.
Because we talked about the toughness in the pocket. We talked about, I think, this standing in and taking a Caden Curry hit right to the chest and running back in there. I think again, we can talk about, locker room and morale, and guys win football games, guys don't care. And so I think there is a level of, if you, over the course of figuring it out, I think he's a guy's guy, just the way players talk about him. I don't have too much doubts about him as, a locker room leader, just because I think, I don't know. Have we seen a quarterback really not be able to first overall pick in the last few years? Maybe Bryce, right? Maybe. But again,
maybe
Bryce. Winning games,
right? There's history of a quarterback not doing it, but yeah.
I also want to make note.
Interesting stuff. Fun stuff.
We're really close to the end here. Good call. Good call by whoever, whether it was Cignetti, whether it was the offensive line coach. Good call. Go and get Pat Coogan. That guy's really good. I was just very impressed. I really like that player. And in a draft where I'm we're scrambling for centers, like the Kansas State kid, I know is someone that's really impressive. Parker Brailsford at Alabama, we've kind of been waiting on, right, with Parker. The athleticism. Yeah. Is it Logan Jones is the Iowa kid, Connor Liu. Pat Coogan's in that group. Pat Coogan looks like a set it and forget it center to me, that I just wanted to give him a shout out before we get into, offensive line. Maybe he doesn't make the O-line rankings, but I just wanted to get his name out there because that was he looked like he was doing most of that protection stuff and he kept his quarterback clean.
No, absolutely. I mean, it goes back to the Alabama IU game. Like in terms of Pat Coogan, and maybe this also speaks kind of volumes to Fernando Mendoza. But like Pat Coogan even said it, like they think that like the player of the game award was gonna go to Fernando, but like Fernando was like, no, like this is Pat Coogan's award. Like what he did up there, calling the protections, making sure I stayed clean, which in the game, but like. He won offensive player of the game. Like Pat Coogan is a good guy. There are a lot of fans that think that they'll be able to get him like the 6th or 7th round. I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah, I like Pat Coogan. So we're getting off the rails here, Matt.
All right, so
So, but that
that
was
kind of
quarterbacks.
that closes it out with quarterbacks. Went over an hour. I feel like even in a quarterback class that is just not as good as the others, we were gonna find a way to get over that 60-minute mark, and we did once again.
Yeah.
But make sure to like it and subscribe if you like this content. If you're seeing this on Friday, um, tight ends are coming soon, and that's really it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna just keep
Yeah.
rolling through the positions here, but that's it for the quarterbacks.